Welcome to the show, Felton Pilate, best known as the lead singer of Con Funk Shun, an old-school R&B band. You're also a songwriter and record producer. In high school, you started your own band. You were then asked by Michael Cooper to join another local band, Project Soul. When you got a record deal, you were asked to change the name to Con Funk Shun, and, well, the rest is history. Con Funk Shun themselves were a top 40 band from 1970 to 74, and you've gone on to have numerous hits in the 70s and 80s. Along with touring internationally. Well, there's a ton of stuff to talk about with you, Felton. I'll let you carry on from there. There's so much to talk about. Thank you so much for joining us. And please do tell us more.
Oh, wow. Okay. The group Project Soul was already together when I joined, right? They'd been going for at least a year or maybe two. My band was called Interbreed, and my band and Project Soul were the competing bands in town. Right. At least in my mind, we were competing. But, in retrospect, Project Soul was indeed the much better band. When my band broke up, Michael asked me to join. And that was a extremely pivotal moment for me. Here's a good analogy. Do you remember the movie Back to the Future?
Yeah.
And there was a pivotal moment in that movie. And for all of you watchers who have not seen Back to the Future, shame on you. Okay. Anyway, pivotal point in that movie is that lead character's mother and father have to kiss at this dance in order for everything else to happen in the future, right? Michael Cooper asking me to join his band was my pivotal moment. Because everything, all of the wonderful things that have happened to me spring from that moment.
Right.
Had he not asked me to join his band, odds are really good we would not be able to sit here and have this conversation right now. But anyway, yes, Project Soul moved to Memphis, Tennessee in summer of 1972. We were the backup band for a group called the Soul Children, who were signed to Stax Records at the time. Which is an interesting story behind that. We left Vallejo, California, which is where Project Soul was living. Somewhere between the 2nd and 4th of August was when we took on the job of being the backup band for the Soul Children. August 21st, 3 weeks later, I mean, we're still newcomers to the job. We're standing in front of 104,000 people at the LA Coliseum, not only playing behind our official employers, the Soul Children, but also playing behind Rufus Thomas at an event called Watts Stax. That summer, the Watts community got together with Stax Records to provide all of the music, and because of that joint venture, it was called Watts Stax. So when you go see that on YouTube, Watts Stax, that is Project Soul, the group that will eventually become Con Funk Shun, standing on stage behind Rufus Thomas. We did manage to get signed to a production company who signed us to a local record company called Freetone, which was founded by Stella Axon, who was one of the founders of Stax, but she and her brother Jim Stewart split up. So she started her own record company. And we were one of the first acts signed to her company. And they asked us to change our name. They were apparently not comfortable with the name Soul in our name. They thought it would be too confining. We had to spend several days arguing over what the name should be. Someone suggested the name Con Funk Shun, which, by the way, by no coincidence, is the name of a song by the Nightlighters. We changed the name to Con Funk Shun, and they loved it. They were concerned about the word soul in our name. Apparently, they were okay with the word funk. Go figure.
How about that?
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
The guy who owned the production company and the recording studio where we did our first recordings, I think he got the attention of Mercury Records, and they sent down their representative, a gentleman named Charlie Fash, came down to see us at a club that we were performing at their Memphis called Club Rosewood. We had already generated a nice musical following. We would always include original material while we're performing our nightclub gigs, to the point where the audience would ask for our original songs.
That's the most beautiful thing.
We got signed to Mercury Records. We did 10 albums for them between 76 and 86.
Mhm.
Four gold albums, a platinum album. Not bad.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I'd say.
Uh,
Wow.
Now, were you right? You guys are writing the tunes together?
yes. Yeah. I wound up counting. I wrote or co-wrote 53 songs for Con Funk Shun over that period of time.
Wow. Amazing.
Michael and I wound up being the main songwriters for the group. Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
and I either wrote singly or jointly. I'd say probably 90% of Con Funk Shun's material.
When you're on stage, you're looking out at thousands of people, right?
Yeah.
How does it feel when you see them singing your lyrics back to you?
Ha ha. You know that feeling that you get when your employer tells you that you've done a good job?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I get that from all thousand of my employers on a nightly basis,
Yeah.
right? And it's really hard to describe. And of course, there's that feeling of joy
Yes.
and gratitude, right?
Yeah.
You know,
People bought your records and
I know. Oh, okay. As a matter of fact, let me take this a step further. Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak as Silk Sonic, as you know, re-recorded Love Train, right? At that point, they recorded the song was 40 years old. I mean, which is a huge statement by itself. But Michael and I got a chance to go to Las Vegas, and the idea was to thank Bruno Mars personally for recording the song. But we're standing there in the audience. That was really interesting, watching someone else sing my song.
that's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
And half the time, I wasn't watching him on stage. I'm watching the 10,000 people around me. They seem to know the song, man. I'm like,
It's so beautiful. What a feel.
that was a huge moment for me.
Absolutely.
Watching one of the top entertainers in the world singing my song. That took that whole appreciation thing to a whole nother level.
Man, now I'm from Oakland, right?
Yeah.
And Al Jarreau came to town, and it was really beautiful. He said, "See, this song I'm about to sing, that brother sitting right there, he wrote it."
Okay, so we'll see. You
And
know,
I'm in my hometown, man. This is like the most beautiful thing, right? Tom?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, so many questions I've got for you. I mean, you mentioned there, Love Train. Obviously, it's been covered by numerous people, including Bruno Mars, as you mentioned there. Have you got any idea what the reason is behind the success of Love Train and why it's getting the kind of artists like that covering it? Is there any kind of reason you can put behind why this has been such a success for you?
I think it's a combination of the lyric,
Yeah.
the story behind it, and Love Train is one of those songs where it's that combination of the performance and the lyric that just deliver the whole thing, right? Michael's performance is dynamic, right? You can feel every bit of the emotion that he's doing that. And it kind of reminds me of Love Ballad by LTD.
Yeah.
Right? That performance of the song, in my opinion, makes the whole thing. The song itself doesn't really have much of a hook, right? The first clue that we have of a hook doesn't happen until at the end of the song, and what we have is much more than they can see, right? And so what has sold you on the song at that point has been strictly the performance. And so in my opinion, we have the same thing going on with Love Train. And so we have a real story being told here, being dynamic with energy and an emotion-filled vocals. So I mean, it's got all the key elements of longevity. And so we're very blessed with that.
Definitely.
Music for Global Change is a platform. We want to introduce writers to each other all over the world and collaborate
Okay.
because we can, because we have the internet, right?
Right.
And it's very successful and it's wonderful. Like I just did a duet with a brother from Ghana,
Uh-huh.
and I produced the music in reggae, but he's singing in the language of Twi, right? And
Okay.
I'm singing in English, right?
All
So it's
right.
three different elements going on, and they work.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I've been writing in Sweden. I've been writing in Portugal with different
Okay.
acts over there, man. It's the most wonderful thing, man. And a lot of talent, man, and just so much. And so there's no constraints anymore. You know what I mean? The record companies can't stop us from meeting each other and collaborating with each other. And music is not just for somebody, it's for everybody.
That's true.
That's why to open it up like this, Music for Global Change, where we can collaborate and inspire each other to write positive, social, conscious, lyrical content.
Okay. I'm down. Count me in. You got my number. Give a brother a call. Okay. All right.
You know what? When I was I think I was in high school back then when Fun came out,
Okay.
and that tune is truly fun. When you talk about positive music, it's uplifting, and
Uh,
we need more music like that.
Again, that's a Michael Cooper creation. He did the lyrics and the music, and it was a fun song to work on.
But you guys killed them horn parts, man. That was the fun part for me. Yeah, even before he sang, when y'all start playing them horn parts, people
Okay.
come from everywhere, right? You seen it yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. Here's some interesting trivia, right? It was the engineer on the session who got the idea to fade out everything else except for the horns. If you listen to the end of Fun, while the horns as the song is fading out, if you listen real closely with some earphones, because we sang the backgrounds separately.
Okay.
Fun, and you'll hear someone going, trying to find the note before we sing fun. I heard that a couple of years ago. I said, man, they left that in. Okay, all right.
I love that kind of stuff, man.
All
So
right.
are you writing some social conscious music these days?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the last thing I wrote is a song called "Stand Up, Rise Up."
Okay.
I wrote it when the war in Ukraine first started, and that was the initial reason for the lyrics. But they apply to any situation where there are people being oppressed. You know,
Yes.
the downtrodden, the people who are being held back. Yeah, I'll send you a copy. It's called "Stand Up, Rise Up." Would love for
And
you to hear.
that's the beautiful thing about music. You can bring awareness to anything.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Tom?
There are so many things I'd like to ask you, but one thing I do know that you've gone from being in Con Funk Shun to a producer producing the likes of MC Hammer. There's quite a change of direction for you. Can you tell us a little bit about the change you had to make there? Maybe that I don't know what the thought process was, perhaps for you, thinking can you go from the one to the other? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I left Con Funk Shun in 1986. The original plan was for me to be a solo artist. God had other plans for me. you know,
Yeah.
the solo artist thing didn't work out. But now that I've left the group, I now have to generate income. Right. So what I wound up doing was buying some additional equipment and setting up my own recording studio. Right. Mm-hmm. And for 3 years, that's what I did to generate money. People could walk in at 9 a.m. with nothing but a set of lyrics and could leave by the end of the day with finished product.
Wow.
So I was really honing my producing skills, right?
Yeah.
And I wound up doing all kinds of music, right? I did country, I did gospel, I did rap. a gentleman that I was hired to do keyboard arrangements for. His name was Fred Pittman.
I know Fred.
Right. You remember Fred? Yeah, Fred had a production deal going on over at
That's
Fantasy Records over in Berkeley. And Fred would hire me to do keyboard arrangements, right?
Wow.
But Fred would often get, let's say, distracted. And he would leave me in charge of the sessions. So oftentimes, when it's time for the singers to sing, Fred hasn't made it back from his distractions yet, right? So I wound up producing the session, right? So I wind up, ghost producing. I know we did some stuff for the dramatics because Fantasy had acquired the old the Volt catalog. Volta was a division of Stax Records, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now Fantasy owns the new version of Volta, and I was honored to be the first new artist on the new Volt records, right?
Yeah.
So that wound up being a song. Fred had some lyrics that he intended as an answer to the song. What was the song by Levert? Casanova, right?
Yeah.
So Fred had these lyrics that was intended as a answer to Casanova, and it was called Cleopatra, right? So I wrote music for it. So we're in the studio. I've already cut the track. I'm already in the studio. And I've already cut the background vocals. I normally cut those first, and I'm in the middle of recording the lead vocal, and here comes Fred. Fred walks in. Okay, well, Felton, I think you should change instead of the word city. Instead of singing it as city, you should sing it as cité.
Right.
Okay, so I changed it around. And then he leaves again. He's there for a total of like 15 minutes. He happened to wander in and he left again. So when the record came out, it said produced by Fred Pittman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the record did not do very well. It sold maybe 300 copies. I'm convinced that my mother actually bought half of those, right? Yeah. At the same time, they had signed my second engineer at my studio, James Early, very, very extremely talented young man that I had the pleasure to work along with, right? And so Fred had these guys called the Holy Ghost Boys, and they were doing Christian flavored rap music. And he was going to hire me to do keyboard arrangements. I said, Fred, no. Why don't you just hand this project over to me? You can have the money, but let me produce it. Give me the credit for producing. You can have the money. Okay, so I wound up doing 2 songs for the Holy Ghost Boys, right? And they signed the Holy Ghost Boys and James Early. We're all signed to Fantasy Volt Record. I do remember having a conversation with the guys, Stanley Burrell and the Holy Ghost. I said, dude, I feel where you're coming from. I can respect where you're coming from. On the business tip, the Holy Ghost Boys, the name might not work for you. I just be straight. You might want to consider changing. He changes his name. Next time I run into him, and he had brought me a recording of something that he did at a 24-track studio over in Richmond, right? It was called Starlight, I think. Starlight.
I know.
And he played the song for me. I said, dude, I don't know what you paid, but I could have got you this same sound at my studio. And I only had 16 tracks, but I was, feeling myself. Yeah, go on, whatever you're doing, work over here. So he wound up bringing the project over to Felstar Studios in Vallejo. We recorded 10 songs. I figured it was a demo. I gave him some rough mixes and sent him on his way. And next time I heard from him, dude, man, the record is gone. You know, change my name. You know, yeah, obviously I'm now in the MC Hammer. Record had already gone gold, and they wrote me a check for $2 million.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I know, it sucks, man. And I'm like, dude, those are rough mixes. You were supposed to come back and let me fix them. He said, no, record company liked it just like it is. Wrote me that check for $2 million. He then took me and James out on the road with him. Oh, by the way, the record company has now dropped all three of us. And now the three of us now getting together to work on new material. And between the three of us, we wound up selling a record that sold over 50 million copies.
It's a beautiful thing, brother. Listen, we're gonna have you back, man, because you got some stories.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. There's so many, all these years, right? You know what I mean. But Tom's gonna get all your information, man. And we're gonna spread the love, okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just for our viewers there, Felton, just want to just if you can tell us how they can see what you're up to, maybe any websites or any kind of social media contacts that you guys have got.
Okay. My name is Felton Pilate, Felton Pilate. Since I'm the only Felton Pilate in the United States, if you simply just Google my name, you'll end up with all of my social media. You know, I'm only, you know, all that's me. My website is felstarmusic.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed to be the co-owner of a music and television production company. We're working on a lot of new material. We hope to have out 2 major motion pictures and a TV show out by the end of next year.
Amazing.
The website is United Spirits MG, which stands for MediaGroup.com.
Thank you, brother. Thanks, man. Namaste, man. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Felton.
Much love, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, man. Once again, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate the time.
Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all get together, music can save the world. Yeah. Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all come together, music can save the world. There's an urgency facing our humanity.
Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.